This week on the Bryan Air Podcast, we're turning the spotlight on a critical turning point at one of South Africa's leading low-cost carriers. SAFE pilots are on the brink of a strike over pay and roster breakdowns. With negotiations collapsing after 3 months, the pilots have rejected a 5.7% salary increase and preparing to finalize strike arrangements with the CCMA this week. Tensions run deep, not just over pay, but a new rostering system that's disrupting pilots' lives. What's really at stake here? In other news this week, SAA missed its financial report by 10 months, then flipped its previously stated 60 million rand profit into a 371 million rand loss, according to auditors. We unpack the implications for retention, operations, and the future of South African aviation. Hi, Paul.
What's up, guys?
What do you think about my intro there?
No, it's awesome. Nicely put together. It's good to be back this week. I thoroughly enjoyed my cheerleading competition last week.
Yeah, how did it go?
No, I came first.
Did you? I'm not surprised with how you looked.
Yeah, thanks for leaking the pictures.
AI generated. No, I shouldn't say AI generated. That was pretty accurate.
Yeah, I was thinking, seeing out a post like that is like one of those, with friends like you, who needs enemies?
You know it's coming. Yeah, we took the week off last week. Every now and again, I don't know, stuff just gets away from you. And we actually didn't get an hour together last week to actually sit and do the pod.
Yeah.
We had put some stuff together, and not making excuses or anything, but we had that discussion like, what I've got here is not good enough right now. I haven't prepared enough, so it wasn't a case of, let's just do it anyway. We've learned from that because we've done that before, and not doing that again. So
yeah, we went in the business of creating a cuck podcast last week.
No, so we're going to do it this week instead. Yeah, but obviously this week, South African aviation, I want to try and tie this all together into a bit of a story, Paul, because I think it's all kind of connected in many ways. I know they are separate things when we speak about, what's happening at SAFE and what's happening at SAA. Totally separate entities. They've got nothing to do with each other. But certainly the guys and girls flying at those airlines do. It's kind of a very small industry here. It feels like a lot smaller than it has been in the past.
Yeah.
So let's jump into the 5.7% story. So Solidarity representing the pilots rejected a 5.7% salary offer after months of stalled negotiations. The union cites a severe breakdown in management trust, saying the relationship is at an absolute low. Strike rules expected to be finalized with the CCMA. That was actually yesterday. I haven't heard anything today, anything new.
No, anything that's trending at the moment is that SAFE are rearranging their schedule in preparation for a strike.
Next week or what?
Yeah, next week by the sounds of it.
All right. So if you're flying on SAFE next week, Monday or Tuesday, prepare for maneuvering. Point number 2 here, beyond pay, roster and leave dispute. So new shift roster system is being blamed for poor work-life balance, family disruption, and rising pilot turnover. Solidarity warns of devastating exodus, skilled pilots leaving as global opportunities offer better compensation and balanced schedules. I'm not so sure. Airline management defends the roster as global best practice, citing enhanced flexibility via bidding and swaps. Let's chat about that one.
Yeah.
You know more about the roster than me. They changed it a while back.
Short while ago, yeah. So I understand that the rostering issue is separate to the salary dispute right now, but that might follow a second strike. I don't know. It's what I've read. But it's definitely been the catalyst to all the unhappiness between management and the crew. Yeah, a short while ago, they changed their rostering system. I think they used to have something like 4 days on, 3 days off, and then 2 days on
type of vibe.
Whatever it was. But it used to suit the crew better, and they could plan their lives better. This new system doesn't make for easy planning around your lifestyle. That's just it's got to do with, I think, minimum rest periods of 12 hours between sign-ons and sign-offs. So it kind of stuffs up the late-ish sign-off, early sign-on thing where you can, roll your days off and make something of it. It's causing major upset, man. And, shit, from that point of view, I can understand the frustration because the work-life balance thing is
it's kind of important.
It's hell of important. I know, speaking from a personal point of view, it's more important than the extra bucks, if you ask me.
For sure, but don't you find? Let's play both sides here. Maybe you take the pilot side. I'll take SAF Air management side on these things. Obviously, SAF Air, the thing that comes out of this, because there's been a few articles on it. There's sort of this hint towards, but this is how it is at the rest of the world. It's not like SAF Air have gone and invented this roster system that is totally foreign to low-cost carriers, and now all of a sudden they've thrown it at the pilots. This is a proven method of rostering that's obviously used at other airlines. And they've implemented it, and yes, it's not maybe nice for the pilots, but maybe it's easier for the rostering software or people that are responsible for putting this multitude of flights together each week.
Yeah, I'd say cool. I get that probably does work. But then what are those pilots overseas getting compensated? Are they getting paid more for a shittier lifestyle? That's. But
then I'll jump back at you and say, well, I knew that when signing the contract. It's not like anything changed. FlySafe is a low-cost carrier. They weren't suddenly going to say, let's start paying you guys what the Emirates boykies earn. This was always going to be the way it was going to end. No,
that's the hard truth, and I suppose that's where they might reach a bit of a deadlock now. And that's just the way it is. It's a hard one to swallow.
Is 5.7% not enough?
I don't think it beats inflation by much. And let's face it, living in South Africa at the moment, it's pretty hard. The cost of living...
No, it is.
Petrol price just went up astronomically a couple of weeks ago. Meat. You go do a bit of shopping. So...
Yeah, but there's what's really happening, and there's official figures.
Yeah.
And the official figures are way, way, way lower. And I think they're less than 5 point. I think it's around 5.
Yeah, exactly.
So SAF Air will argue that this is more than a CPI increase.
Yeah. But at the same time, I think, that's where the big fight comes in. It's like, okay, well, give us a shorter increase, but then don't mess with our rosters, at least. I think the pilots are fighting for a bit of tit for tat.
Yeah.
And they're just not gaining any traction.
It's better to fight for tit.
100% agree.
All right, let's get serious here again. The great pilot brain drain. South African pilots are being drawn overseas by significantly higher pay. That's for first officers and captains. This was an African pilot the other day. Warns pilots face greener, more well-paying pastures amid growing dissatisfaction here locally. Cabin crew are reportedly heading into negotiations too, suggesting collective momentum towards better pay and conditions. This indicates potential for full-scale industrial action at low-cost carriers, not just legacy airlines. So you've got this sort of brain drain thrown into the mix here as well. It can't be ignored. Again, and I'm just taking the opposite side here, otherwise it's going to be too lopsided in how we think. But it's not really SAF Air's fault, is it? SAF Air built a business model, a highly, highly successful business model. You didn't have to go too far back. We were still at SAX, where SAF Air were just getting running, and it was... They use the word rinky-dink operation. It was a small operation. They are not a small operation. No. A very well-run company with some very clever people at the head there. But they've also attracted some rather talented, pilots and staff in general. They're a serious outfit. And obviously, the biggest losers in the whole pilot drain or this brain drain is them. They're the ones that don't have the pilots to draw from. I wanted to tie this into something else, throw it at you, and maybe not. Maybe if you're listening, shoot us a comment and let me know what you think about this. But lying there last night, I was trying to think. Okay, but there's quite a lot going on in South Africa at the moment in aviation. We've had spoken the last few weeks about a bit of a crisis from a South African point of view. There's a story later on, a chat about South African Airways. But, and obviously we're hearing a lot about Fly Safe Air. We heard about a lot of Fly Safe Air towards the beginning of the year with the whole ownership issue and all the rest. We haven't heard a lot from the likes of Seme and Lyft. And I have a theory that I think the pilots there are pretty happy with how things go. And bearing in mind, we always going to want more bucks. Pilots always going to want more money. So this isn't a case of saying, no, we're grossly happy and, leave us alone. This is the best job in the world. Not saying that at all. But is it not that those airlines, I'm obviously simplifying it by just saying Lyft and Seme, but they fly domestically, regional flying, but they also have the contract side of things. And every now and again, they get called off to go on contract. And then you're away from home and you fly. And one of the big advantages of being on contract is it's kind of cool in a way that, your job is to now, you're going to go clap the flying. You don't really mind working hard on contract. And in fact, it's just something that's expected. You're going to fly pretty hard. You're also going to hopefully earn some USD. And then you're going to come home and you're going to probably chill for a couple of weeks. And then you're going to maybe return to regional line flying for a couple of months until you start getting a bit itchy again. You need a break. Maybe you need to get the hell out for a bit. Put your hand up for another contract gig. Boom, off you go.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing it out.
I think you raise a valid point there, and it does break the monotony of like what the SAF Air pilots are doing. I mean,
monotony is a killer, bro.
It's a killer, bro. There's only so many double Cape Towns or double Durbans or double Blooms or whatever that one can stomach. I know it. I mean, that's why I haven't run back to that type of lifestyle. The change up in schedules. It's quite true. I mean, and some of the contracts out there are in some pretty cool places, like the Caribbean.
You know what, but even when they're not in cool places, there's something about a contract where it's kind of every now and again you're going to have a contract somewhere awesome, and you're going to make the most of it. But 90% of the time, it's in somewhere pretty cuck.
Yeah,
and you're still probably going to make the most of it. And
again, it's also it suits different individuals. The guys that are not too worried about the young families at home and everything. It certainly doesn't work for me, the contract vibe.
No.
But we slightly different. But you raise a good point there, pal.
Yeah, maybe you can let us know what you think. Shoot us a comment and we can expand on it a bit, maybe going into next week. But I think it's worth a mention because I haven't heard too many negative. Look, the normal crew turnover still exists. You're not going to stop an ambitious guy who's built up enough hours to say, right, that's it, I'm off to the Middle East to go and fly. You're not going to stop that. It's not all sunshine and rainbows there at the moment either. Wizz Air just pulled the carpet out underneath a whole lot of pilots there. There's a lot of South Africans there in Abu Dhabi, and they just pulled the rug out. Why? Because they can. Wizz Air's an ultra low cost carrier.
Yeah,
they're not even a low cost. It's an ultra low cost, where they basically don't even set up a proper infrastructure. Like a Ryanair model. The very, very basic infrastructure. And then it's all based on business decisions going forward. They look at it and say, right, this is not working for us, or we can better utilize our resources somewhere else. And then they go and do that. They go and say, right, that gig's not working. We're going to move. I think they've had to stop a big order for some 321s.
Yeah.
But there's a plan down the line. There's shareholders involved, and obviously they look at it from a pure financial point of view. So it's not all sunshine and rainbows there. However, there are some big carriers there that you are simply not going to stop young, ambitious guys from going and pursuing, which leaves us in a awkward situation in the country because we speak to a lot of people. A lot of people contact us about what they're doing and what's going on. And every week I'm kind of like, how are there so many planes still flying around here? Because like everyone I know is not here anymore. Very few people left. And they're drawing from a smaller and smaller pool. And we're actually drawing from each other. On a SAFE or stealing guys from SEME. And, you might get the odd oak that's, waiting for a command at Link that says stuff that I want to go to get a command at SEME. We're all taking from the same pool here.
Yeah.
And this is a bit of a crisis. We're not really talking about it, but there's no ways that the flight schools are producing enough to compensate for the losses that are going on, particularly the experienced guys, because it's going to take you a while to build up that experience. Are we not heading for a
massive pilot shortage?
Just here locally, a massive pilot shortage that could ultimately affect the day-to-day operation of South African aviation in general.
No.
And I'm not based on data. This is based on just two pilots
in the industry who No, I wholeheartedly agree, man. I think we're already seeing it. I think the charter industry is starting to feel the brunt of it at the moment. There's just not enough 1,900 pilots around.
How does it work in the charter industry? Are you getting guys that are flying for a local carrier, and then if they're free on the weekend,
No, the guys that are flying for the carriers are just not available. They just don't have the space in their roster to try and freelance. I don't know of anyone that really has the flexibility to do that at the moment. And then added to that, the days of freelancing like it was 15, 20 years ago when you could fly someone's King Air today and a Hawker tomorrow and whip around in a G1 or a Learjet the next day. You can't do that anymore because of simulated training requirements. So to be a freelance pilot, you are also kind of exclusive at the moment. Yeah. So no, I think we're facing that shortage and experience drain already.
All right, let's go to a solution here. Can harmony be restored? Balanced resolution requires addressing both pay and scheduling. Flexibility is as crucial as salary and retention, as you said there, Ryan. Union management trust must be rebuilt. A more open negotiation process could avoid future conflict. I'd like to believe that can exist, but having been in an airline with a union that was permanently fighting for increases and better conditions, you know how difficult it is, management and pilots, and trying to piece this incredibly complicated, expensive, money, time, resource-consuming machine and get it to actually work is incredibly difficult when so many other things are against you. So many other things.
I saw a lot of comments doing the rounds as well where guys are saying, have pilots forgotten that just a few years ago they were begging for jobs? You would take whatever you could get because when the world closed up, pilots were...
Yeah, you would take anything that you
would take anything, and then it's just a few years later. Now we're striking again.
Then to counteract that, if you're taking that side now, let me go back and take the pilot side. I mean, when was that? We're going back sort of 4.5 years now. So long enough time has passed, and the goalposts were then moved. Take SAA as an example. We're going to go to them next anyway. But South African Airways was once a sort of legacy carrier paying legacy salaries, no longer the case today. The goalposts were moved. It was a different time.
Yeah.
And now I suppose I get what the pilots are saying. Now's the time to sort of reassess this. we are part of the airline success as well. The on-time performance has a lot to do with the pilots and the training and everything else. They're the ones that got to get this aircraft ready. They're the ones, engineers, the whole whack. They're part of that system.
Yeah.
And they obviously feel like, hey, you know, they're an integral part of this machine and they need to earn accordingly. I just think that if you're going to be a local pilot here, and not even a pilot, even take us in our position, and we're going to try and then say, yes, but in Europe or in the Middle East, someone in my position is earning X. Therefore, I want to earn that as well. I think you're on a hiding to nothing because you're not there. You're in South Africa. You've chosen to be here. And for the most part, particularly as a pilot now, you don't, you know, a lot of these borders are fictitious. You can walk through, you can use your license somewhere else.
Yeah.
So do you really have a foot to stand on for that argument? But when it comes down to, you know, I want to be here, I want to stay in South Africa, I want to fly for SAFAir because the planes are in good condition. You very rarely hear about any technical issues there. A very well-run outfit. You probably look at it and say, you know what? For me to spend the rest of my career here, I need just a little bit more because I don't get maybe as much as I did at my SAA version 1. Therefore, I've got to prop up my own pension provident, and I need a little bit more just to make this work. Then you're actually fighting to stay at the airline. And I think that's where a lot of these guys are. I think most of the pilots there that are on strike, and I haven't actually spoken to a single SAFAir pilot before speaking here. Because first of all, the guy's a bit reluctant to. You don't want to rope guys into anything, but I guarantee that a lot of the pilots there are saying, "Hey, I want to spend the rest of my career here, and to do that, we're going to have to keep negotiating better and better conditions." So they're actually doing it like on behalf of loyalty and longevity. I don't think the guys are saying, let's get an extra 10%, make a good, few quick bucks. Because if that was the attitude, they can leave today. They can go today and go get a job today at Fly Dubai or Emirates. So I think it's, in a weird way, out of loyalty and patriotism to the country that they want to make it work.
If that is the case, then I certainly hope then that, SAFAir management would listen to that sentiment and see it from that point of view and then show the pilots some love and, grant them a little bit more. And, improve the rostering conditions as best they can. And make it work. I hope that there is some resolve. Because, look, they've been through a lot in this last year. Hey? Just a short while ago, they were, almost about to stop operating because of that whole licensing council thing.
They're an incredible airline. I mean, they really are an incredible airline.
Yeah, we can't do without them.
We can't. I mean, you can't. It's certainly my go-to airline if I'm traveling anywhere.
Yeah.
And they fly the Springboks around. They're a proper company we can be really, really proud of. You want them to be successful. And then again, just taking the other angle, being in a corporate environment, you know how difficult it is. Their salary bill must be massive. And just to increase everyone by, willy-nilly 10%, sometimes it's impossible to do that. Yeah. There's shareholders involved. It's not that easy just to say, okay, well, extra 10% off you go, get you off my back. Because you know what happens next year? Going to want the same thing again. So there's going to be this continuous fight. Look, I hope they're sorted out. No doubt they will. Strongs to the pilots and to the management because it's not easy on them either. Yeah. They've got to make this whole thing work. And they're going to try and find this resolution. Hopefully it doesn't affect too many passengers that are traveling. Fortunately, middle of winter, I don't foresee too many.
No, there were some stories doing the rounds of people who've been affected already by the notification that their flight's been moved. There's a little bit of unhappiness.
Of course.
But hopefully they can skate that. Shit.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. But it's better than being December holiday.
Rather now than then. Shit.
All right. Next story. Not going to get into too much of the negative side of this because it's got a lot of negative connotations, I suppose. But double headline shock. South African Airways missed its financial report by 10 months, then flipped the script from the previously stated 60 million rand profit into 370 million rand loss. The net loss of 354 million for the 2023-24 fiscal year. South African Airways posted a substantial, it goes on there. Reasons: rising costs, foreign currency, surging fuel prices, steeper aircraft lease rates were flagged as key culprits, of course, because no one trusts South African Airways anymore. Headline, alarming reporting lag. The airline's financials were due in May, but were only published in March, May 24, but published in March 25, a 10-month delay. That raises concerns about accountability and governance questions. And then more bailout pressure, with previous bailouts pushing billions of taxpayer rand into SAA. The latest loss sets the stage for potential further government rescue, fueling public frustration and financial scrutiny. So before we jump into this, I want to have a dig at all the wankers that every single time, let me calm myself here. I just flew on SAA this weekend, and it was such a wonderful flight. They have really turned the corner, and all you idiots from being negative really need to give them a chance. I mean, and then the story of the profit came out, and it was the same morons. You see, I told you so. SAA is actually, they've really turned it. They don't need a bailout. And everyone with half a brain cells looking at this and going, okay, interesting. So you got this airline that owed billions. Suddenly they get rid of their pilots, they get rid of a few aircraft, and then they start bringing pilots and aircraft back, and then go, we've posted a profit. You go look at this and go, really? Where's the actual audited result of this profit? No, it'll be out shortly. Well, it is out now, and it's not a profit. It's a big loss. Yeah. So now what do those people have to say?
But I have never changed my thoughts on this.
No, you haven't, but you also weren't looking for the, what do you call it? It's like you're looking for that vote on social media where people look at you and go, oh, look at this nice guy. He's given SAA version 2 a second chance, and he's actually throwing it out there onto social media to show how much of a good oak he is and how he's willing to give these guys a chance. Yeah. Just bear in mind, these guys have been responsible for a lot of destruction at other airlines, a lot of turmoil and personal, lives and things like that. And if you're talking about pilots and trying to back pilots up, they got rid of nearly all the pilots during that period that we spoke about earlier. Yeah. They just got rid of them.
Yeah.
The pictures of them crying leaving the facility. So let's just put things into perspective here. SAA today is exactly where you'd think it would be, in financial turmoil, probably needing another bailout.
Yeah.
And
surprise.
This, I suppose, is where a lot of this crisis that we're speaking about comes from. Because if you look at, we're speaking about pilots at FlySafair. You got pilots and cabin crew and everyone at SAA. They're not going. Some of those oaks flying, they're absolute legends. Love those guys, friends of ours. Nothing against them. It's a flipping job. You take it, you work. Nothing against. Don't get me wrong.
Just to be clear, we're not dissing the crew. Or
not dissing the crew. There's only so many places you can work, so just go and do what you need to do. But that's the point. There isn't that much. There are not many options, and the options seem to be getting less and less and less. Now you're almost looking at this and going, well, I certainly am. I hope SAA is still around, and I hope they do get bailed out. Because if they don't, it's worse, no?
Yeah. But I suppose by all means, get bailed out. but just not with taxpayers' money.
Yeah.
You know, please, I'd prefer to see the improvements continue on the R21.
No, but
and the potholes get filled, then these numpties going and trying to procure another 3 or 4 A350s to expand their route network when, you know, they're just not
but on
properly sustainable.
No, on top of that though, at least your taxpayer funds are being pumped into your industry. They're going to not be pumped into. Do you honestly think that your hard-earned tax-paying cash, now it's not being sent to SA for a bailout, you honestly think it's being pumped back into the economy for something good?
No.
No, bro. No. So before we, you know what I mean?
Yeah. We could be going down a whole fucking different rabbit hole.
I know. But the reality is there's a lot of shit going on. And to think that suddenly, okay, we're not going to divert. And if they don't divert that money to SA, well, then there won't be an SA. So don't lie about your financials. Put them out on time and just call it like it is. And then I think you'll get more people behind them. No one believes it when you go from being the biggest loss-making airline in the world to suddenly making a profit. No one believes you. So just be honest about it.
Why can't they get it right, though?
Oh, but
you know, if Safi are successful, Semi are successful, Lyft are successful, Link are successful, then why can't they get it right? I mean, you know...
Well, there was an attempt to privatize the airline. We know what that turned into.
Yeah, I suppose
Takalani Sesame story that went on for yonks. That there was never any intent to really to get that working, and that would have been the owners of Lyft having I think it was a 49% stake in South African Airways.
Turf that plan.
Guaranteed that would have had an immediate impact. Guaranteed. There's no question. So why didn't it happen? Just gets pushed and pushed and pushed all the time. So whether there's a genuine attempt to ever really get it right, or like I'm going back to my honesty thing, can't you just be honest about it and say, you know what? It's very hard for a carrier on the southern tip of a continent to actually make money. So you know what? We're probably not going to make money for the next however many years. This is our plan. This is what we're going to do. We're going to report financials all the time. And you're not going to see a profit, but what you are going to see is an improvement. And hopefully you'll have an airline that all of you can be proud of and hopefully come and fly with us on. A lot of South Africans will say, you know what? 6 of 1, bro. But don't try and pretend that you're now competing with the likes of Emirates and Qatar.
Fuck.
You know what I mean?
Chance, man.
And honestly, let's be honest. Forget about them competing with Emirates and Qatar. You've got huge competition here. I mean, you mentioned Safi already. Safi are world-class in terms of the company, the structure, how it works. Semi have come up leaps and bounds over the past few years. They've got the right people in. They've got a real competent group of people there that are actually running a really, really tight ship. Good show. Airlink has, I mean, they're a really world-class airline. Yep. They're a classy, sophisticated airline. You only have to go fly with them, sit in the cabin and see how classy and sophisticated they are. Very, very good class airline. Lyft. A lot of guys, pilots that are flying there, they've been there for years. They love it. They're happy. They have reports that are coming out of, if you just Google search, what it was like to fly on Lyft, people love it. These are very, very, very good airlines.
Yeah.
And you got then South African Airways actually competing with these guys, and I don't think they can. So they make it then, okay, we can't compete here, so let's go international. And then suddenly now they're competing with a much wider, sort of with a few more heavy hitters, and they're not able to. Yeah. But for me, it's just the honesty thing. And for those of you that think, Bryan and Ryan are being a little bit harsh on these guys, well, we're actually not, because we were heavily affected personally by some of the things that happened at SAA when we were at South African Express.
Yeah.
So I have my bone to pick with those oaks. All right.
100%.
You got a bit, got the old blood flowing in this episode today.
It's good to like
Every now and again.
pump up the energy a bit and actually just let it all out.
All right. One of the most engaging topics that we've ever spoken about a couple of weeks ago was getting command and how it's not quite what it used to be. It used to be a milestone in every pilot's journey. Now it's being seen by many as a lifestyle downgrade. We keep hearing this thing about lifestyle.
I loved all the comments and the feedback we got because it was quite surprising to see
the differences.
Yeah.
So we posted about it, and the aviation community responded. From seniority battles to tax realities, we've gathered some of your insights, and we'll dive a bit deeper into them now. So command equals higher stress, lower flexibility, worse schedules initially. Immediate income drop for many, relegated to the bottom of the seniority list, and you're held accountable for everything. This is just a bit of a summary. Lifestyle over legacy. Many senior first officers prefer long-haul routes, lucrative layovers, predictable time off. To give some commentary here, Matthew Robson, 60 short-haul sectors per month for minimal financial reward. Andrew Evans, crappy medium-haul roster and less days off. Seniority system, is it dumb or is it deserved? Ben Hall says seniority is protected by those at the top. Jason Northwood, academic research shows base changes deter upgrades. Pilot often refuse command to avoid uprooting family or commuting. Someone wrote there, I get the wording wrong for this, but something about seniority being... I wish I could get this right. Was so well said. Basically, there's nothing else to replace seniority.
There isn't.
It's the worst system in the world, but it's the only one.
Yeah.
It's very cleverly written. I'll try and grab it for you. Union legacy versus modern reality. LMAC, the FO role is a critical learning step. Unions entrench legacy systems. Not everyone avoids it. Robbie Schaefer, command should still be the goal. David Good says you should always want to lead and to mentor. William, wide body FOs earning 250 to 350K in the US makes sense to stay put. I said that, do we have a command crisis? My quote there, we don't have a captain pipeline problem, we have a command incentive problem. Airlines need to rethink how they reward leadership. So does that mean when you make the jump from an FO to a captain that the incentive should be such that it's a no-brainer? You take it. And I think we're having discussion before. We can't really have it on the air now. But the incentive at most airlines is so small for that jump that it's no surprise that you're seeing these fights over salaries and things like this around the world. Because why not just, as an FO, I think you're sort of willing to, okay, I'm an FO, I'm going to become a captain. There's something to work towards.
Yeah.
So you earn your time, you earn your experience, you build your skill sets in the right-hand seat. And then when you're ready, or through seniority or whatever system your airline has, you take that step into the left, and with that comes something significant with a significant lifestyle upgrade that can hopefully see you through for the next 20 to 30 years.
Yeah, I think it has to go that way, because if you look at it through the eyes of the modern day first officer, in today's world, with all the technology and AI available, I think there's more first officers out there that have little side hustles going that could probably absorb the increase. So like, wow, my side hustle sort of fills the gap that moving to the left-hand seat would. So, why take on more responsibility and perhaps earn a shittier roster just to make extra bucks. I'll just pump my side hustle a bit more.
Yeah.
So the financial incentive probably needs to be
significant.
Yeah, to make it worthwhile.
But then are we not talking about more of the model? You know, we've got the standard model, and FO earns this, a captain earns that, and the gap is not. Maybe that needs to change. You know,
that's what I'm thinking. You know, I think in some airlines it's that the gap is too close. And that's what inhibits the
desire to go from the right to the left.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, anyways, it was something that we spoke about on the pod. We put out a post about it, and the amounts of comments are just crazy. So many people send me DMs and, you know, about this issue, and a lot of people couldn't write them publicly. That's why I haven't mentioned all of them here, because they're busy flying at airlines. But the reality is this is a point that is front and center in a lot of people's minds, and there's a lot going on, and this is a much bigger topic than I actually originally thought. So it was a nice one to chat about. But yeah, I suppose to end off today, I hope that we sort things out here with Fly Safair. No doubt they will. The professionals on both the management side and on the pilot union side, and man, oh man, do we need them in the country. And let's see where it takes us.
Yeah, we can only hope for a positive outcome with that, and I hope everyone wins.
Yeah. That's a good way to leave it.
Yeah.
I hope everyone wins. Yeah. Have a good weekend, everyone.
Catch you in the next one.
Bye for now.